It's very exciting. We have Danny Tamborelli is on the show tonight.
Hey,
Danny, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Happy New Year to you. A caller yelled at me for saying, well, Larry David said you can't wish Happy New Year after January 7th. Do I look like Larry David?
Larry David also told us to buy crypto from a guy that stole a bunch of money.
Danny,
So,
thank you
what can
so
we do
much.
about that?
Danny, Larry David said, well, go in heavy on crypto. Go with crypto. Yeah. Why don't you go to him and say, hey, Larry.
Anytime after January 10th, you
Yeah.
can't say Happy New Year.
Yeah.
No, you can
Yeah.
say it as long as you want.
Yeah.
I say until at least Easter.
Yeah. And if I saw Larry David, I would say to him, hey, Larry, guess what? I did the thing you told me to do, and now I'm pretty bankrupt.
Pretty broke.
Yeah. And I slap him on the head like the Benny Hill, the old man
Oh.
on Benny Hill. That old man. Do you
I
think they
mean,
had to
you.
put like a cream on his head at the end of filming, like because like the handprints?
Oh God, yeah, yeah. Well, they weren't all in black and white, right? They weren't in black.
No, they were. There was
They
the
were
full
they were
range.
colorized. Yeah, full range of
Yes.
stuff.
Now,
I'm a ginger, so I'm very I see a lot of the pale skin and then the red blotchiness. I'm akin to. I see it all the time. I'm like, you gotta fix that.
you spot that from a mile away because you have
That's true.
glorious head of red
Amazing
hair.
vision. Yeah,
Yes.
the gingerness it
Now,
actually enhances
now,
your eyesight.
Danny, people know you from the adventures of Pete and Pete.
That's correct. That is what I'm most known for.
Is the first thing? Is that the first? Is that the first legit job you had? Was that show?
The first legit job, yeah, sure. I mean, there were like these teeny little interstitials in between commercials, in between TV shows on Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Ryan's Hope. That was like my
Okay.
first real gig.
Mm-hmm.
Was that old school soap opera?
Okay.
Um, and
Did you cry on that? Were you just like, no, doctor, can you save him? Were you doing stuff like that?
no, I think my dad got blown up in like an IRA bomb or something like that. No, I did feed somebody their line once, and
Mm-hmm.
as like a 7-year-old kid, you're like a sponge, and you just know everything that's going on. You rehearse and everything, and the guy like botched his line, and I fed it to him, uh, which made me confident in doing that. And then I did it again a few years later to George C. Scott, and he promptly dropped me. He was holding me in his arms, and he dropped me on the ground and yelled at me, and then I got fired from that job.
So George, well, look, we cannot. Let's take our time with this one. What were you?
Okay.
What was George C. Scott in that you were in with him? What were you doing together?
I was doing an off Broadway show in the Circle in the Square Theater, Circle and
Okay.
Around, in New York. The show was called On Borrowed Time. It was with George C. Scott and Nathan Lane. And
Okay.
like a week before our previews, we're up there doing our thing, and he's holding me some scene where he's like holding me, talking to me or whatever, and he forgot his line, and I fed it to him, and
Ooh.
yeah, it was a bad idea. I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
I
Come
thought
on.
I was just being I was being helpful.
Of course, you're a
Uh,
kid.
right, but he didn't like that too much, and he squeezed me, and then opened his arms, and I fell to the ground, and he said, "You never tell an actor his lines,"
Mhm.
and
When you
that
look
was
back
it.
with the wit of the staircase, they always say, is the line that you wish you could say in that moment. What would the retort be that you wish you could throw at George C. Scott now? It's just like an actor's supposed to remember their lines.
Right, exactly, something like that, something snarky like that.
Yeah,
I would have liked to have been able to jump back, clap back at him, and be like, Patton wouldn't have forgotten his lines.
there you go.
Did
That's
you
exactly
forget?
it.
Something
Yeah.
like that. Well, he's dead now, so I mean,
You should
I
have
feel like
started.
I've made out. I've made out in this.
You should have started slapping him the way Patton slapped that one kid who was flipping out. I don't want to go back into combat. I don't want to go back. Yeah, you can. You should have slapped George C. Scott back and forth.
uh, no, he just slapped me with a pink slip the next week. That was it. My understudy took over.
Classy.
and that was it. But you know what? I jumped right onto the Mighty Ducks.
Look
So
at that. Yes, exactly. I didn't
and
see
that
George C.
and I
Scott on
still
Mighty
right. That's
Ducks.
right. You're damn right you didn't.
Yeah.
And I said that. I said, Stephen Herrick, you're the director. I know you could
Hmm.
have anybody you want here,
Yeah.
but George C. Scott, I walk. I will walk.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
he said okay.
Picture George C. Scott showing up with one of those giant lollipops and a hat with a propeller on top, trying to age down a little bit to be one of the Mighty Ducks.
I remember the original six. That was
Yes,
George C.
he
Scott.
did that.
I remember that when there were only six teams
They played outdoors.
and there were no goalies had helmets.
Yeah. It was a sign of strength to not wear a helmet. To take a puck to the head, it means you're a man.
If you still had both front teeth, you're not doing it right.
That's, yeah. So, Danny, you grew up in New Jersey. That's correct? What part of New Jersey?
Bergen County, New Jersey.
Ooh, fancy.
I grew up in Maywood and Hackensack and Wyckoff.
Now, for people who don't know New Jersey,
that's moving on up.
This
right
is
there.
the Bel Air. This is the Beverly Hills.
Depends on where you are.
Wyckoff, Hackensack. They don't even let.
You think Hackensack is Bel Air.
A guy like me walks into
property to share with you.
A guy like me walks into Wyckoff. It's like Rambo when he walked in First Blood. The cops are following behind me, trying to just say, "All right, time for you to beat feet, friend."
Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Keep exactly. They don't like the looks of guys like me in Wyckoff.
Hey, I was the new kid in fifth grade. I came from Maywood, which is a smaller town right next to Hackensack. I would say that's a much more middle class town than Wyckoff. I went to high school in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. That's where the Real Housewives in New Jersey are from.
That's fancy. You see, I wonder if we can even count you as being from New Jersey. This is these are the very Tony areas of the state. This is fancy town.
Okay. Well, you know what? I wasn't going to bring this up, but I guess I have to now. NorthJersey.com as of a day and a half ago, because I have my Google alerts to my name set, so I get emails. 18 famous people from New Jersey. You got Buzz Aldrin on there.
Yeah.
You got Danny Tamborelli on there. You got Bill Parcells on there.
Yeah.
You got Frank Sinatra's on there. I have no business being around all those people. But NorthJersey.com says
you're only making my case. You're only making my case. These are the fancy
who didn't
people.
Make it? Bucky Dent didn't make it. Guess what? Bucky Dent was from Wyckoff.
Bucky Dent was from Wyckoff. Tell him
that he's a Bel Air guy. I don't think so.
Now I'm from New Jersey also, and I not the heights.
My manager lived in
Wyckoff.
Teaneck, so I used to drive by FDU all the time.
It was fancy. It was very fancy. This is almost like you're technically from Connecticut.
Oh, that is. I've never felt such deep New Jersey feelings as I'm feeling right now, Tom. Thank you.
I'm kidding. You are from New Jersey. You're from New Jersey. You're from New Jersey, Danny.
I only got rid of my New Jersey license last year. I've lived in Brooklyn for 15 years at this point, because I realized that my entire tenure when I was on this show, all that, it was like sketch comedy show for kids on Nickelodeon. I turned 17 out there, and I didn't get back till May, so I didn't get my license. Because when you're 17, you get your driver's license.
Sure. Yeah.
But my birthday's in February, but I didn't get it until the end of May. So for the longest time, my renewal was never my birthday. It was always the end of May. But for some weird reason, my last one, it was up in February, and I got screwed because I was like, oh no, I couldn't go back, so I had to actually physically change it to New York ID. So you're picking at a scab that really hurts.
It's time for healing. It's time for healing.
Oh,
Dan.
please.
So you did the show. What with the acting bug? We're not just going to stay in the past, but we'll talk a little bit.
No, you do whatever you
No,
want.
but I want to just like you. You didn't stop. You're not just like remember yesteryear guy, and it's just like you lived a full life. And we're going to talk about stuff you're doing right now. Just want you to know we take Harry on the best show. These other podcasts, all they're going to talk about is Pete and Pete. They act like you got frozen in a block of ice after Pete and Pete ended. Where did
I
that?
did roll down a block of ice. I rolled down on a block of ice in South Orange on a big hill for Pete and
Yeah.
Pete.
See, now
One
he's
of
getting
my
to the
one of my
oranges.
one of my big memories
Yeah.
of being a kid on TV.
Now, where
It's like
did
how many other kids got to fly down that
no?
block of
The
ice?
look. You're like it feels like fancy. It's like the
Stop
so
it.
you. How did you decide? Where did the acting bug come from? Is it in your family? Did it just come out of
No,
nowhere?
it came out. It came out of a mall in Jersey where I was like a little kid talking to some random stranger who happened to be a manager, who gave my mom a card and said, "Your 3-year-old is very talkative and could be on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You should call me because that's what I do." And she sat on it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was 6, I don't know, I was like in some grocery store and some lady was like, "Didn't I see you on TV?" I was like, "My mom says I can't be on TV," just being a punk ass little kid.
Yeah.
And that was it. She was like, "Oh, well, I'll do it." And I booked the first commercial that I auditioned for. And then
Amazing. And that was
And
just
then it just kind of snowballed from there. They're like,
yeah.
in the '80s, it was the redheads with the real red hair was a hot commodity. Where you could be a bully, you could be a creepy person, or you
Mm-hmm.
could be a cute little kid.
Yeah.
So,
Or all three. You'd be all
or
three.
all three. Yeah, that's true.
So you think about this now with a little perspective as an adult.
With 2 children.
With 2 children. So let's say this. Danny Tamborelli's walking through the mall with his 2 children. And then some guy comes up and goes, "Hey, one of your kids is pretty talkative there." How fast would you shove him off of like shove him down to the bottom floor of the mall?
Exactly.
Hey, your kid's got your 3-year-old's a little talkative there, huh? Here's my business card.
That manager is back on the escalator again.
Yeah.
Just send him right.
Could you
Send him
imagine?
down.
But it's just like
it would be a good viral video, I would imagine.
yeah. I mean, there's a version of things that thankfully didn't happen this way. There's a version of things where you are just being found by the police after having been kidnapped for 40 years by the guy at the mall who raced you in a pit.
Yeah, the ball pit, in fact.
Yeah, he has his own ball pit. He had you. He said to your mother, he's a manager. "I'll take him to the commercial shoot. Okay, don't worry.
You don't have to worry about it. You got 2 other kids to worry about. Let me take him. I'll take him."
He's good. He's fine. I got him. Hey, yeah. You want to play in the ball pit? Well,
You
maybe.
like Cinnabon?
Yeah.
How about Auntie Anne's? You like pretzels, kid?
It's a pit behind the mall that he was keeping you in. Yeah, you like we got some Auntie Anne's left over here. Yeah,
And I was found by those in quotation those urban explorers that you see on your TikToks and your Instagrams, being like, "This house has been abandoned. This mall has been abandoned for 4 years."
Yeah.
And then you find me in the basement of it.
Yeah, like Barbarian.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is like I can see this. This can be like, what's that Jodie Foster movie where she's in the woods forever? Nell.
Yeah, where she's like,
this is like a exactly. It becomes the 21st century Nell.
Yeah.
Me in the basement of the mall.
Danny Tamborelli is Nell.
Oh, camera.
I'm going to say this. As much as I would love to have seen this timeline, sliding doors, I'm glad it didn't happen. For the sake of you and your family, I'm glad this guy turned out to be reputable.
No, yeah, she did. She was a Shirley Grant was her name.
Mm-hmm.
She also found the Jonas Brothers, who's also from Wyckoff. Oh, I'm proving your point again. God damn it.
Yeah, those fancy Jonas Brothers.
I used to work at a bagel store in Wyckoff, and they used to come in, and their parents used to come in and give me weird looks, like their kids had watched me on TV
Mm-hmm.
the night before, and then I'm there making your Taylor egg and cheese, salt,
Mm-hmm.
pepper, ketchup.
Now, that's the most New Jersey thing ever. Now, when
See,
you, how many years did Pete and Pete go for?
89 to 95.
Okay.
So the first 3 years were like these little like vignettes, and then we got
Mm-hmm.
these specials, and then they rolled it into the season one where that had 8 episodes, and then two 12
Mm-hmm.
episode
Okay.
seasons.
I believe my friend Phil Morrison directed an episode of Pete and Pete. Did Phil
He
direct?
did.
Right, Phil's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phil's
All
one
right.
of.
Well, I didn't realize the 6 degrees is so
It's
close.
much closer than you could have ever imagined, Danny. Now you move on. The show goes. You kept working though. You always kept working.
Pretty much, yeah. 7 to 18. I pretty much just worked. I worked almost exclusively for Nickelodeon. I did a couple things for the Rat, but
Mm-hmm.
that was it.
But then,
Nick Kids called Disney Kids, Disney
uh
the Rat, just to clarify.
wow, okay. See, this
Yeah,
is like
there's a
the.
lot of animosity towards, they're like, oh, look at, see what you're trying to put on me about being bougie New Jersey. I put on
You
those
put on
child actors
the Disney
being
Channel
bougie from
kids.
Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had lunch boxes, they were singing, making records,
And
they were like
who did
they
you
were they
hate
were
the most?
commodifying all the way up.
Danny, who'd you hate the most out of all those Disney Channel kids? Even if it was illogical, who was your
Even
bet?
if,
Who was your bet noir?
well, I mean, it was just Gosling, right? He was
Gosling.
a Mickey Mouse, and any of the Mickey Mouse Club guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, they just really they just yeah, they rubbed me the wrong way.
yeah. You think you could do that dance that Gosling did on that Mickey Mouse thing? Remember that dance?
I don't know. It could be.
It's
I
pretty
don't think
sweet.
so. I think a lot of it was based in jealousy.
Was Ron Gosling?
You're
Was a young Ron Gosling hanging out with Iggy Pop though? No, he wasn't.
no, he
No.
was not.
Was he
No,
hanging out with Miracle Legion? Mark Mulcahy from
no,
Miracle
no
Legion?
way.
No.
No, no.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Around New Year's, we get obsessed with how to change ourselves instead of just expanding on what we're already doing right in our lives. Maybe you finally organized one part of your living space and now you want to tackle another. Or maybe you're finally getting enough sleep every night and now you want to start mastering your breakfast recipes. Whatever the case, therapy helps you find your strengths so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick. And if you're thinking of starting therapy or changing therapists in 2024, consider BetterHelp. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit betterhelp.com/thebestshow today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/thebestshow.
What did that do to your head? Get this like seriously cool music at a very young age.
It changed my life. I had a lot of older siblings, I guess. Like, and I was the oldest in my family, but like all the people on the crew really did treat me like a little brother. So I would get mixtapes with all sorts of stuff on it, Replacements, Billy Bragg. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was 8 years old, like listening to REM, Green, like from my first Sony tape player.
Mm-hmm. It's
Um,
amazing. That's so cool.
yeah, it was very cool. My parents are both music junkies and
Mm-hmm.
like into my dad basically sat me down and was like, Iggy Pop is coming on the show next
Mm-hmm.
week, and I'm like, who's Iggy Pop? And he like brought me downstairs, and my dad's he's an audiophile and
Mm-hmm.
has 5,000 records in the basement, and went through and pulled out like
Fun
House.
House. He's like,
Put it
son,
on.
it's time for you
He's
to
like,
listen
"It's
to a
time
song
for you
called
to
Dirt.
listen." Yeah, he's like, not that Alice in Chains crap that
Yeah.
you've been listening
No.
to.
Son, there's a song called L.A. Blues that I'm going to need you to sit here and listen to 10 times in a row.
And if you hear somebody coughing in the middle of that song, it's because they were smoking. Smoking what, Dad?
Yeah.
You take your pick.
Yeah. Amazing. That is so cool. And then that said, you obviously are a pretty deep music head now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mark Mulcahy was someone who told me that guitar players were a dime a dozen if you really wanted to play in a band, which I was itching to at like 10 years old, 11 years old. And I got my first bass on the set. The prop master for the show gave me his bass because I was bitching about my New Jersey public education.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I could play guitar or I could play violin. And I said I wanted to play bass, and they told me to go F myself. You can play guitar or violin. And I chose violin, and I chose poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most unforgiving instrument to practice ever in life.
Yeah, no, that's you drew the wrong straw on that one.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I just really wanted to play bass. It's like, well, that's got 4 strings.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what Mulcahy told me. He's like, guitar players are a dime a dozen. You want to be in a band, you play bass.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get into a band that way. And he was right.
Now, what has the relationship been with these things? You being known as a child actor, were there points where you were just like, I don't want to be associated with it. I want to be I'm different now. I'm not that kid anymore. Did you make peace with it at a point? What has been the journey of that?
You're asking for my jaded moment. My jaded moment of saying, when I went to public school. So my senior year of high school, all my friends were applying to colleges, and I was living in, I would live in Burbank for 6 months, and then I'd come back, and so I was really only in school half the year.
Sure. Now, for people who don't know, Burbank is the fanciest place in all of Los Angeles. It's the place where people in Brentwood wish they could afford to live.
I lived a 7-minute drive from Tower Records, and I blew all my TV money there every week. Every week I got a paycheck.
Yeah.
I got a new expensive ass box set. That was my bouginess.
Sure.
Was going to Tower Records and seeing, what's that expensive 6 CD box set? Yeah, I'm going to get that.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, the kid from Pete and Pete, he'll buy anything.
He'll buy anything. That Dreams, that 4-disc Allman Brothers, he got it.
He bought
it.
Yeah.
He bought it.
Yeah.
Stupid. It's not even anything new. It's not even reissues.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so. What?
But
so
that was it.
Kids are going to college, and you're
and I wanted to continue doing that, and I felt like I didn't want to miss out on going to school and not, being fortunate enough to have enough money that I didn't go into debt, spending 4 years in college. But, that was my moment to kind of be like, all right, like I did that. I said, I'm always reading somebody else's words and taking direction from somebody else. Music is my own, man. That's where I was at.
Yeah.
It's like, I was writing songs, and, all that stuff was my own, and I didn't take anything from anybody else, and I'm 18 years old and like been, working pretty consistently and wanted to like just kind of fuck off, really.
Yeah, no, and that's the way it's just like it's you're supposed to go through that. It would be strange if you never let go.
I got a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends who are in the business who chose to stay and work, I could have been Nick Cannon, you know what I mean? I could have been in Drumline. If I had stayed out there long enough,
sure.
They would have found me something.
No, and I was thinking that. I was like, when I watched Drumline, I was like, well, this is all well and good, but I wonder what would this be like if Danny Tamborelli was the star of this thing.
Yeah, I had long hair. I could do like some hippie stuff.
Danny Tamborelli's Wildin' Out. All the shows. Now
all of them. Could have been me in that cool spiky punk rock leather jacket.
So at some point, when do you make your peace with everything and you start to feel, okay, I see where this can fit into who I am now?
When I graduated college and I moved back to Jersey for 6 months and then got an apartment in the Lower East Side.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in New York full time and trying to figure out how to do what I want and you know music stuff. I was writing sketch comedy. I had a sketch group in Brooklyn for a while called Man
Mm-hmm.
Boobs Sketchy Comedy.
Okay.
Um,
Now, did you run
and
out on stage super enthusiastic? Nothing makes me more uncomfortable than when the improv troupe runs out on stage super pumped and enthusiastic, and I'm just like in the audience. I'm like, I can't handle that level of
no,
enthusiasm.
no,
Like, clap,
we
hey
were,
everybody, we're
yeah,
man boobs, yeah, everybody. Like,
no, we were certainly more of like just three bumbling. The man
okay,
boobs was a double entendre. We are also had man boobs, but also were a bunch of idiots.
sure,
So it was more of a yeah, less in your face and slapsticky and more just kind of
but you know what I'm talking about. That
oh
energy,
yeah,
that
oh yeah,
energy.
yeah, yeah.
I can't, I
Yeah,
can't, I
Kim,
can't.
Kim, oh, I'm so happy to see you. I need a word. What
Yeah,
rhymes with
and then
orange?
people are like,
Everybody's like, you son of a bitch. You said orange. You
yeah,
opened with orange.
yeah, I can't. I would just say like, I'm leaving.
I'm
I'd
out.
just be,
I'm out of you.
that's enough for
Uh,
me. I'm leaving.
but,
A crowded improv theater where it's the most noticeable thing that I'm leaving.
oh, not just any improv theater, Tom. The People's Improv Theater.
The People's Improv
Okay.
Theater, which was amazing because that theater answered the question, what would it be like if a theater had the seats at a 100-degree angle where if you lean forward,
Yeah.
you fall
Hmm.
80 feet onto the stage. I've never seen a more steep
Yeah, it's very
incline.
treacherous. Very treacherous. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how do you
That's
build?
why I performed. That's why I would only perform there. I'd never go see shows. I was too afraid.
It's not up to code. That there's no way those aisles were up to code.
I've been in steep places like the top of Jones Beach Amphitheater. Those like nosebleed seats are
Hmm.
pretty rugged and straight up. But yeah, no, the main room at the People's Improv Theater, pretty good one.
Yeah, yeah. You are also an author now, Danny. You've written two
Oh,
books.
yeah,
Two
I've written
books?
two. Yeah,
Amazing.
I know.
Co-written.
And I wrote half. Yeah, so
Okay.
I've written one full book.
Okay. Yes, you one
It's
because
just one.
you're co-writing them with your wife.
Yeah. My wife Kate and I. It was a pandemic project that made good. Something we sort of like had talked about, and then we had all this time on our hands, and we decided to do it. And we wasted every nap time and free moment that we had for about 6 months
Mm-hmm.
to write this book. That we were like, what happens if we don't sell it? And
Mm-hmm.
we just wasted all of this time.
Yeah.
Well, and we did sell it. We ended up selling a 2 book deal, so then we had to think of a second book,
Yeah. Amazing. Well, congrats.
which
Amazing.
is yeah, it was great. It was great, and it's been really fun. Like it's a cool, she's an author in her own right. She has written some YA novels, and
Okay.
so she knew what she was doing.
Mm-hmm. So
I,
you're along for the ride a little bit on
well,
that.
yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm not
like
judging
we
that
just had
either.
different. No. It's we just had different approaches to things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I wrote a lot of sketch comedy stuff, and I write with people. So I've always had like a partner, and she's only written by herself,
Mm-hmm.
and she wrote 4 of her books kind of without knowing exactly how they're going to end,
Okay.
which is I find fascinating. But for me, like I was that I couldn't do it.
No, it's terrifying.
Everything is plotted out for me. So it
Yeah.
was like kind of an interesting way that we would kind of work together, and I'd
Mm-hmm.
give her a little bit of how I write. She'd do a little bit of how she does it, She told me that the double space is after a period is wrong, and that my New Jersey public education is a lie.
Yeah,
And
this is that Wyckoff education.
yeah, that's how, is that how they that's how they
Well, because they put all
if
the.
you double spaced every after
Mhm.
every period and you were applying to Harvard, you probably would get in. Is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
It's that trick. They're
That
like,
would
oh,
do it. That would do it.
that's how bougie you are.
Uh huh.
You double space after every period. You must have gone to the smart school.
Yeah. Now, author, actor,
Yeah.
improviser, musician. What's next for Danny
No,
Tamborelli? What's on the
nothing.
list? What's the
Combining
thing
them
you
all.
wish you'd tried that you haven't tried? Maybe for 2024, an exciting new endeavor. What could it be?
Uh, finding a. mm, I'd go. No, not skydive. I wouldn't do anything that scary.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know. Let's see. I can mold them all together. I guess I'm a terrible artist.
Okay.
I can't draw for shit.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I could figure out something. If I could write a children's book, this is the thing they don't in publishing they don't necessarily want to tell you.
Yeah.
But if you can write a good children's book and also illustrate it, whew, your chances are much higher than if you just come
Mm-hmm.
with the words and no
Mm-hmm.
pictures, or you just come with pictures
Mm-hmm.
and no words.
Okay.
So
I'm
maybe that's what I'll do.
I'm going to pitch you a children's book that I'm planning on working on. It's called Danny, the Fanciest Boy from All of New Jersey. He's so fancy, he's almost from Connecticut.
From,
Now, I
uh,
it
from sobs to
yeah, from Saab.
cul-de-sacs.
Yeah, I like that. Now you look, I appreciate you coming on and talking with us and goofing around and everything.
My pleasure.
I have to ask you about playing with Richard Lloyd from
Yes,
television. You're Richard, one of
yes.
the all-time legends. Richard Lloyd, the late
All-time
great
legend.
Richard Lloyd.
Oh, he's not dead.
Oh wait, oh no, you didn't hear? Oh no, no. Tom Verlaine passed away, not Richard Lloyd.
Yeah.
Richard Lloyd quit the band, which I guess would make him dead.
Well, he says he quit the band. It's like the guy that says, "You're fired. You can't fire me. I quit."
Yeah, exactly. It's like I quit. Oh
Very,
no,
very
please don't
contentious.
quit.
Yeah. Call
We'll help.
Jimmy Rip.
We'll help you empty your office.
Oh God.
So, what was it like playing with Richard Lloyd?
Well, it was a lot of highs, a lot of lows.
And what were the circumstances with that?
The circumstances were the guy, his name is Heath Seifert. He was an executive producer on all that and a writer. And he was kind of like my California buddy. And he played he played with the Angry Samoans for a little while. Has his own band called Backbiter.
Okay.
That is a pretty cool like Cali like L.A. punk rock band bar band. Um, and so he would just get me hip to a lot of stuff. Like he got me hip to the Minutemen and got me hip to Cat Power and got me hip to so much stuff. The Pixies. I mean, again, it was like I at every turn I was being like force fed people's like particular tastes in music, and I was just able to kind of pick and choose what I liked.
Mm-hmm.
And he introduced me to television, and Marquee Moon was it came out on February 8th, 1977.
Which is your
I was
birthday.
born February 8th, 1982, so it's a cosmic thing.
My birthday,
Uh,
Danny, February 9th.
oh, really?
Yes.
Love of that. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Well, we should
1997. February 9th, 1997 was my birthday.
Well, from 11:59 on the 8th to 12:01 on the 9th, we should just say
That's our
hi
that's
and
our
wish each
time.
other
It's our
happy
time, Danny.
birthdays. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But he was friends with Richard Lloyd on Facebook, and he was looking for a bass player in New York, and he just sent me that link, and he was like, "I know you live in New York, and I know you love television. Just go meet him, like whatever, like." he's kind of a kooky guy. I'm like, yeah, I know. I've seen a little bit
Sure.
about Richard. And I went and I auditioned for him, and it was like, great, you got it, and JP Patterson was playing drums, and he was from the Dictators.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a really like fun tour, and the first like show was in Cleveland, and we were like at some gas station somewhere outside of like Pittsburgh, and he was just like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Here, you should read this. And he threw
Uh-huh.
a Guitar World magazine in the back seat, which is a reporter on tour on his last tour that had Billy Ficca playing drums from television.
Legendary, yeah.
And this article is like, it was just kept reading like, this is so bad. It was basically like Richard like having a mental episode, and like sticking needles in his face and eating onions, and like hitting people, and just having a bad enough time that the guy from Guitar World and Billy Ficca and the bass player all left him alone on tour, and we're just like, we're done. And this is in the article, and we're sitting in the back of the van, JP and I were just like, fuck, like what are we gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
And so we hatched our own like potential getaway plan if need be. But he was fine. It was just like one of those weird, like, he was just wanted to like make us scared for a second just to do it.
Sure.
To be like, you should check this out.
Yeah.
And
not unlike George C. Scott.
No, I know the George C. Scott voice and Richard Lloyd's voice. They kind of get molded together as one.
And
one human.
people really did refer to George C. Scott as the Richard Lloyd of acting.
he knew the stuff, but he could also really woo you with the dynamics of his acting.
Yeah. Well,
but
Danny,
it was really fun. You get to watch old dudes just staring right at Richard's face, like, at his fingers playing guitar.
That's wild, because that's the person that actually, those hands played some of the most eternal music ever.
Ever. And I'm so happy that I got to do it, and we played for a few years, and the last tour he had his own mental episode there, and got put on a 5150 in Cleveland, in fact. And that was it.
Is it a coincidence
over, man,
that they say they call it 5150, which is a bad thing because you're getting committed for a thing, but it's also the name of a terrible Van Halen album.
Very, very bad.
Which one's worse? I'd rather get 5150'd, meaning locked up for 48 hours, rather than have to listen once to the Van Halen album. Which 5150 you want, guy?
Yeah.
Lock me up.
I need a vacation.
Yeah. You hear a little bit of Best of Both Worlds or whatever those Sammy Hagar songs, like, yeah, lock me up.
Yeah, lock me up, please. This is Van Halen 1 and Van Halen 2.
We are miles away from that. Now,
very far from that.
Danny, what a treat talking to you. You're so funny, and you have so many great stories, and you're such an amazing guy. I thank you. You were the first guest of 2024, and I'm so excited.
Hey,
what a great way to kick the year off.
All right. Well, I'm sure it's only up from here. Don't you were really fluffing me up at the beginning of this.
Now, what can people look for? Where do people find you, see what you're up to? Where do people keep track of you?
You can go to DannyTamborelli.com. If you like Instagram, you can go to Danny Tamborelli at Instagram. If you're still on X, that's on you.
Yeah.
And you go to the band. It's Jounce. We've been a band for 20 years. We play like chunky, Dinosaur Jr.-y rock and roll. We got a record coming out August or September.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
So you can check for that. And the books are The First Date Prophecy, which is out now. You can buy it wherever you like to buy your books. And the second book is called The Road Trip Rewind, and that's out in the end of May.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah,
you're gonna have an amazing.
Rom-coms. They're fun little rom-coms. There are a lot of nostalgic '90s. tidbits in there, and
You're going to have a great 2024. You laid the tracks. Now you're going to ride the train all the way down the tracks. You're going to have a great
choo
year.
choo.
There you go. Danny, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, my
What a
pleasure.
blast.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon.